What's up, everyone? It is the Simply Amazing Mets post-game show here, live and in the flesh. It's your boy CP here, joined by special guest Hector. Hector, how you doing today? Filling in for the one and only Rob, who can't make it today with a busy work schedule. This is a safe space, by the way. Just so everybody in the chat knows, drop those live chat comments and we'll talk about this game. Hector, first and foremost, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, much better than our team is doing. I'll tell you that much. As good as they can be doing after a game like we just watched. I'll tell you that. But we're doing good. We're doing good, and thanks for the invite. I apologize ahead of time to everybody and to you. Having connection issues, I've even had to use my phone now. So if there's any trouble, you know why. But yeah, man, we're doing well, and thank you. Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody in the chat, like I said, hit that thumbs up. If you're watching over on X, come over to the YouTube, all that good stuff here. We are here to vent with you all, not even to you all, but with you all about this Mets team taking a 3-1 loss here. And as always, drop your live chat comments, your thoughts, opinions, all that good stuff in the live chat. Follow me on X, all that good stuff at CPNYSports. And make sure you follow Hector over on X as well. I believe it's HHeck13, correct? On X is your username.
I believe so. Yeah, don't ask me how we got there, but yeah, I think that's it. It sounds about right.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I want to shout out some people here. Ethan's saying, wow, what a joke. Hayden is saying bad and boring baseball all around. Daniel is just sounding off. Thank you, Daniel. Absolutely. You need to sound off in the chat. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. This team is just filled with a bunch of boys that have no heart. Robert's in the chat. Brad's in the chat here. Another ugly loss. This is another ugly loss, and we'll get into it here in just a second. The one thing that I wanted to start this stream off with is maybe just one before we rip into this team and this lifeless offense was that Tyler Megill coming back from the injured list looked actually pretty decent. He looked decent. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits given up, 3 runs. 2 of them were actually earned and 1 was unearned thanks to a couple errors in that first inning. Believe that was the Bader throwing error, but the Nimmo just absolutely blunder of a play on that ground ball that he got in the left field. 7 strikeouts, man. The put away pitches were looking good and only 2 walks. Tyler Megill actually looked pretty good. His stuff looked pretty good. The newfound pitch that he was working on this offseason looked pretty good, and the results actually showed. He kept this team in the ball game. It was a rough first inning. I understand that there were 3 hits with 2 outs in that first inning that contributed to some of the runs, but all in all, Tyler Megill. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of Tyler Megill, but he looked pretty decent all in all. Hector, what do you think about his outing, and what is your confidence level, first and foremost, with Tyler Megill moving forward off the IL now?
Um, honestly, I don't know if have any confidence in him. And as I was watching the game, I said, "This is exactly what you said. Is exactly what I expected to hear. What I was thinking in my head. What I really don't want to hear. I'm tired of hearing. He figured it out, and you're absolutely right. It's not that you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? But can I get a complete game from these guys? And I don't mean complete game as in 9 innings, but a game where you don't have that inning. And yes, part of it today was the defense let him down a little bit, but still, there were pitches there where he could have made better. But I'm not gonna knock him too much because he did come around and he did get it. Give us the 5 innings and held the damage to there, and it's should have been enough for you to be able to win a game. I know we're facing the Guardians, who they're playing well, they've been hot, and their pitching is phenomenal and all that good stuff, but he pitched. Tyler Megill pitched it good enough to win. Am I confident in him? Not really. I feel the same about him that I have before. I think he's probably gonna end up being a reliever someday. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's an honestly a valid assessment. His pitches, the thing is for me that drew some confidence was the walks, right? We know he struggles with the walks at times, and just the in general, like when he gets ahead of counts, can he be efficient enough to put hitters away, which he did today. And this is a pretty decent Guardians team, like you were just saying, 31, improving to 31-17 on the season so far. I believe atop the AL Central. I don't watch too many AL Central games, but the Guardians have been sort of just a decent team here so far early in the early going to the 2024 season. So it was good to see that. Now, like you said, I'm gonna completely echo what you said. Am I confident in Tyler Megill moving forward? No, because history tells me that you can't be. You simply can't be. But nonetheless, this is at least, if you're gonna take any positive of this game, it would be this start. I believe of the 4 hits that he surrendered, 3 of those came in the first inning, and the next 4 innings, he only allowed 1 hit. So the things that we were sort of accustomed to seeing Tyler Megill struggle with, he came out in this game and proved to us, this game at least, only this game, that, you know, he has that in him. And I think that's been the consensus of Tyler Megill in the last couple of years. Like, we see the potential, but potential is all it's been, right, Hector? Like, it hasn't translated into any sort of consistency, and that is our main problem with Tyler Megill. So I guess the jury is still out. Like you just mentioned, you think that he's going to be in the bullpen someday. I think that that is probably his ceiling as well, because I just simply don't see him as a consistent starter, especially not on any sort of contending team, and that's just what it is. But nonetheless, a good outing here. But I think what we all want to sort of point out here, and we'll just make this a quick transition. And this is where the bulk of this post game is going to be at and directed toward, is this offense, dude. We got to talk about this offense, because this is another instance of your starting pitcher. I get it. He only pitched 5 innings, understood. He kept you in the ball game. And it really was a competitive ball game, especially after that Tomas Nido no doubt home run, solo home run that he just absolutely hit, the hanging breaking ball, bat flipping and all. I was like, what happened to the Tomas Nido we all know? Like, what happened to that guy? Because what we saw in that solo home run absolutely was not that. Listen, I'm going to get into the comments here in just a second, but this is your box score today. I know the text might be a little bit hard to see. I apologize about that. I'm also not wearing my glasses, so that might just be on my end. But let me hear it, man. Let me hear it, Hector. I mean, whatever you got to say about this offense needs to be said. I'm going to completely probably agree with everything that you said, because what we saw today was completely unacceptable against a starting pitcher in Ben Lively for the Cleveland Guardians that was averaging 90 miles per hour on his fastball going into today. Obviously, like I said, velocity isn't everything in this league, but when you have a soft throwing right-hander up on the mound at the major league level with the personnel in this lineup that you expect to put more runs up in this game than just 1 run. And honestly, I don't know if we want to talk about it now. We can talk about it later, but we have to have a conversation surrounding Starling Marte, because what we saw in the early innings leading up to that ejection was just simply unacceptable, at least in my eyes, from what I saw in terms of his body language and the actual just awareness, right? Someone said lack of fundamentals. I believe it was Ethan in the chat. It really was a team that lacked fundamentals, and Starling Marte was definitely the catalyst of that very early in this.
No, listen. What was there to say about this offense? Anything we say is gonna have more punch than what this offense shows. And what frustrates me more than anything is how many times do you see this offense have an opportunity and don't get the job done, and you see other teams do get the job done, and and that's what it is, and that's the frustrating part. It's not like they don't have chances; they have plenty of chances. And then when they do get hits, you see JD. JD's been on fire, and I don't want to get on JD. That's not what I'm trying to do here. It's just an example of the way that things go with this team over and over and over, no matter what. So he's on fire. He gets a hit in the first. Was that in the first inning or his first at bat? Nice double, everything. Oh, let's go, JD. Stay hot. Then comes up with an opportunity to drive in a couple of runs, does nothing. And you see that over and over again. Guys come up, they get a couple of hits, they get a hit, and as soon as you get a couple of guys on base, nothing happens. Meanwhile, the opposing team, today being Cleveland, they get them in on first, they steal a base, boom, drive them in. You know what I mean? We make a mistake, throw to the wrong base, next guy comes up, boom, hit, 2 runs. So and it's the same guys. It's the same guys. And then like you said, you get a home run from a Tomas Nido, and it's for nothing. It's for nothing. Those are the kind of things that you wish you could capitalize on. You know what I mean? And just because I'm thinking about it now, with Tomas Nido, we talk about guys using the whole field approach and all that for a while now. I've been saying with Nido, if there's one guy that should maybe focus on pulling the ball, it's Tomas Nino. Because I'm tired of seeing him
Absolutely.
fly out deep into right center, deep into left center, using the big part of the park, but he doesn't have power. So he hits the ball hard, but not enough power to get it out. But if you pull it and you hit those kind of monster shots, not that Tomas Nino is going to be a home hitter or anything like that. Like, come on, Tomas Nino is the backup catcher. I don't even why the hell we talking about Tomas Nino. The point is, this offense. I don't even want to talk about this offense. I'm tired of talking about this team. I'm tired of saying the same thing. I'm tired of waiting for guys to break out. I'm tired of Francisco Lindor to get over the slow start, which is beyond a slow start. It's pathetic. It's disgusting. Marte, I don't know what the hell was going on with Marte. I really don't. I don't know what that was about. Um, I don't know if you want to get into it now because I think
Let's get into it.
there's two things that happen that go into mental errors. And as long as I've been playing baseball, any coach, any physical errors, you don't want them to happen, but they happen. Right? A physical error is gonna happen. So when Brandon Nimmo lets that ball go in left field, it upsets you. It upsets me even more because of someone whom I've been hyping in Brandon Nimmo. And I don't need him to make that kind of mistake because I don't need people to start talking crap, right? But okay, it happens. Harrison Bader, you cannot just wildly throw that ball in the infield and give up an extra base. When Nemo himself is screaming at you, throw the second. But you just launched the ball. Luckily, you didn't get away further and they scored on that, right? Then you have Marte not knowing your teammate, not realizing what the hell's going on. And what are you trying to do? Like Ron said, you got to know JD's not staying in that rundown for long. So there's no chance you're going to second base. But again, another mental mistake. And you always pay for those. You always pay for those. And
You
somebody
do.
said, because I made a comment on X, sorry, and I'll shut up right now. And somebody said, mental mistakes are a highlight of the manager or fall back on the manager. I forget exactly how he put it. And I can't argue that. I can't argue that. Not that I want to get on Mendoza or anything like that. But one thing, whatever. That shouldn't happen. I'm not even going to say what I'm going to say.
No, no, I agree with you. This comment right here, I think sums up the entire problem with this team. Um, Greg C, shout out to Greg C. Like I said, if you guys are in this chat, by the way, whether you're on X or YouTube, hit that thumbs up for us. We definitely appreciate you being here. Obviously, this is an event session. Keep on dropping those live chats, all that good stuff. We appreciate you being here. Greg C is saying this core can't get it together offensively, and they walk the ballpark. And you can't sustain any consistent offense or pitching. They should hit the reset button with Stearns for this team. Now, obviously, we kind of exhausted the sort of play for the Mets here in terms of what they might do at the deadline. We talked about on the roundtable, all that good stuff. If you guys are regular listeners on this channel, on Rob's channel, on Hayden's channel, you know about the roundtable. Make sure you go check out our last roundtable, which was very recent. It was actually right yesterday. So go check that out. We exhausted that topic. But in this game, the particular point that I want to just pull from this right here is that I believe Gary put this stat out during the broadcast in today's game. 207 walks
Yeah.
from these pitchers on this team collectively, which leads the major leagues. Only 50 of those walks have come around to score. But regardless of how you want to draw it up, whether that's a big fraction, a big percentage of walks coming around to score or not, that in a nutshell is way too much. And putting yourself in the additional stress on yourself to extend innings is going to have profound impacts and cumulative impacts on innings, right? Whether it's in that ball game or the next ball game or the ball game after that, it just simply can't happen. And this is the conversation that we kind of turn around and speak to, like the Jeremy Hefner or obviously offensively Eric Chavez and the actual specialty hitting coaches, but also it's these players' inability to go actually out there and perform. Why are we walking the ballpark, right? Why? And by the way, this lineup, we're going to get back into this lineup here in just a second. I just want to draw the walk standpoint from this comment out because this lineup struck out 11 times today. Actually, I believe that Baty strikeout was 12. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But nonetheless, The walks are a problem. The Mets lead the major leagues in walks, and that is what it is. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Hector, but I know we kind of just like skipped over the pitching aspect here to get into the offense, but the walks are an issue, man. It's blatant. And I know Tyler Megill only had 2 walks today, but I'm just talking about in general. As soon as I heard those words uttered from the mouth of Gary Cohen, I just had to shake my head because we all know it's a problem. You, me, everybody in this chat, everybody knows it's a problem. It's horrible, man. It's horrible.
No, absolutely. And to be honest with you, I was surprised. What was it? Was it 50 or 51? He said that scored. I was surprised that it was
Yeah.
that low because it seems like they all score. It seems like every time we walk from what they score. So I was surprised that I don't even want to do the math. I don't know what the percentage was. It's it's more about the opportunities. You're giving away too many opportunities, right? And it's the Cardinals sin in baseball, especially walking the leadoff hitter, and we do it over and over. And just walking guys, period. You don't want to walk nobody. You want guys to earn their way on base, and we're just giving it away time after time after time after time. It's horrendous. But yeah, it was. Um, yeah, we struck out 11 times today as an offense too. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
horrendous too.
Let's
Just because
let's
you mentioned that.
Yeah, let's get into the Starling Marte just discussion here because I know the timeline was absolutely going wild before the ejection and even during the ejection. First of all, the play that happened in the first inning, him pulling up on that ball that I really think that Prime Marte goes out there and gets, right? I understand it's the first inning. You don't want to take too much of a risky play, but I think that that really set the tone of the ball game in terms of that fly ball hanging up there. But also, you come back around in the next half inning and you hit was what was in my mind a screamer, right? That the pitcher just so happened to snag with his glove at the last second. They get JD Martinez caught in the rundown, right? And if I'm JD Martinez, right, as a base runner, I'm running on that all day. You see a ball that's rocketed
Yeah,
up
it's
the
tough.
middle, you're running on that all day. As a person who's played baseball, that is a simple decision to just run. The pitcher made a great play and they got him in the rundown. Okay, so what? But Starling Marte's lack of IQ there, right, as a baseball player, and we talk about lack of fundamentals, lack of baseball IQ, you cannot get doubled up there as a professional, as a veteran, right? This guy has been around the league enough to know that you cannot get doubled up there. Now, I know what he was trying to do. I know that he was trying to advance and make sort of something happen out of nothing and try to just make up for the lucky play, really, that I'm just going to call from that the pitcher made. But you can't do that at all. And it ends up being a double play. And it just sort of deflates the inning after that JD Martinez double because that's how you said he got on second base, right? There in his first at bat. You can't have that. Now, you fast forward. I don't really think that it should have been a grounds for ejection. To be honest with you, look at the replay. Now, we aren't on the field. We don't know what Starling Marte is saying. You can't really argue balls and strikes anyway because that pitch was way too close to take. If you're Starling Marte in that situation, the at bat that he got ejected by, but just like it doesn't look like he wants to be out there playing baseball, man. And I know injuries aside last season, I was up on here on this podcast. We were talking about Starling Marte being a focal point as well, that it just seems like he doesn't want to be out there at times. And the effort shows. The effort shows. And just that sequence right there, you got the ball that hung up in the air that he could have caught, in my humble opinion. You got the double play that was a blunder of base running from Starling Marte there, trying to take that extra base. You get doubled up, and then you get the ejection, and that's really the trifecta, and you're out of the ball game, and Tyrone Taylor's replacing you. That is just, as a veteran on this team, man, as one of the guys that was brought in here to make a change to this team, and he did so in 2022, to come around full circle in 2024 and have this happen on May 20th of 2024 is absolutely horrendous, man. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Hector, you sound off because that's unacceptable. That's it.
No, no. Listen, I agree with you. I wish I could dispute you, but I can't. Now I gotta be honest. I was watching the game in the car as I'm driving or whatever, and I'm trying to think. I missed the fly ball that you're talking about in the first inning. So I can't really comment on that too much. And I've already said about the play, like it's a mental mistake that shouldn't happen. The JD thing, I'm totally with you. I agree with you 1,000%. There's nothing JD can really do about that. Instinct, you're thinking in your head already. That ball's hit to the left side. I'm going. You know what I'm saying? I mean to the right side you're going right. That's the rule. The ball's to the right side, you're going, and you don't expect the pitcher to make that kind of play. So he gets caught up. No big deal. Marte compounds it. Now, the only thing that I guess I'll push back on, because I even did last year, and I'll do it all the time, is I don't like to say that these guys don't want to be there because of body language or because of the way it looks, or they look or whatever. Because I think when you're playing bad, it's always gonna look bad. You know what I'm saying? The
Fair.
body language for the most part,
Sure.
it's generally it's gonna look bad. You know what I'm saying? And last year he was hurt. We can act like he wasn't, but he was hurt. So of course he's not gonna be as lively or whatever, look as joyful and all that good stuff because he's just trying to stay healthy and figure out what the hell's going on with his body. I think this year he's looked good. He's looked in the game. He's made some great throws. He's had some decent time at the plate. Just hasn't been, like everybody else, it hasn't been for an extended period. And even him, but he has been a little bit more than the other guys. He's been actually one of the decent hitters, although he's cooled off substantially from when he started. Um, but yeah, that's the only thing. I don't like to say that guys don't want to be here, but I will say that's something that shouldn't happen. Whether you want to be here or not, that's something that shouldn't happen. As far as the ejection, like you said, we're not on the field. We don't know if he said a magic word or not. Of course, after watching those plays and then he gets ejected, you're gonna see the comments and people are gonna feel like, all right, this guy didn't want to play anyway, so he got himself ejected. He got himself ejected. You know what I mean? But I don't know. These umpires nowadays, listen, it's hard for me to pay attention to all details, but I can see that this umpire was horrible.
He was
and,
bad. He was bad.
and some of the calls he was making, both sides. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, and I think people fail to realize that sometimes pitchers benefit from an umpire, and they have a good outing because the umpire's giving them those edges. You know what I'm saying? And when they call it against us, it's bad. But when you benefit from it, you don't even notice it. You know what I'm saying? And then there's times that an umpire can lead you into a bad outing by not calling pitches that sometimes are even strikes, but they're right on the corner and they won't give them to you. You know what I mean? But today, I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know what Marte said. Like I said, I don't want to say that he doesn't want to be here because there's been times that shit. There was a point a couple of weeks ago when I'm saying Starling Marte comeback player of the year. I don't know about that anymore, but yeah, I don't know, man.
And
It's
it's
just
really been like a roller coaster of ups and downs for Starling Marte this season, which is to be expected, I guess. And I think that's where some of the frustration is coming into the fans because we know the outfielders that are coming up through this system, right? We know about Drew Gilbert, we know about Jet Williams that can play some outfield as well. We know who's coming up through the ranks, and that's why I think that with this season being right now, the Mets are 21 and 26. You have the deleted tweet from Steve Cohen talking about the deadline. I think that's where some of the frustration is coming in. And when you have a veteran like Marte, 34 years old, is on the last go around of his contract, maybe not this season. I think he's still got one more year left on the contract, but nonetheless, whatever it may be, that's going to be the guy that most people sort of just look to and be like, if he shows any sign of just not wanting it, that's where we're going to just sort of say, hey, listen, if you don't want to be here, and I completely agree with you. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We can't definitively say that. But for me, it's just like the energy, the body language, and all that good stuff that I look at. But nonetheless, going back on some of the comments here, just
But
not to
let me ask you
exhaust
though,
that.
CP. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Like,
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
because why wouldn't he want to be here, right?
See, that's what
Like,
I
and I'm
I
not
don't
saying,
know.
I'm not saying, I'm just, I'm like, like, hypothetically asking or whatever, just asking out loud. Like, why wouldn't someone like Starling Marte want to be here? You haven't been treated bad. You know what I'm saying? Um, when Buck was here, he was like a dad to you. I'm not sure what's going on with Mendoza. Maybe he don't like Mendoza. So if you want to like speculate or whatever, right? And let's say he doesn't want to be here. And why doesn't he want to be here? Is it because he doesn't like what's going on? He doesn't believe in what's around him. He doesn't believe in the organization. Um, because then I want to know. Those are things that I would want to
That could
know.
be it.
Like,
But that
you
could
know
be
what I
it.
mean?
And he's already got his contract. I mean, honestly, for me as a player, if you don't believe in what's going around you, like you just said, if you know this team is not going to be anywhere, and it boils down to the other guys as well. Like if you see guys like let's not go back to it, but let's go back to it because this is actually important. And those Tommy Pham comments that he was talking about of the clubhouse and the vibe around the clubhouse and the guys' lack of effort. If you see that, that's eventually going to start wearing down on you, and you already got paid your contract. Obviously, you're going to be competing for your next contract. I understand that because I think that even when his time's up with the Mets, he's going to try to be sticking around in the game of baseball and getting the next contract. But that translates, man. The headspace translates to me. So it could just be a simple fact of that. I don't know. I like I said, that's why I don't want to speculate. I know I'm speculating here, but it could just be as simple as that. And I think you just said it perfectly.
Yeah,
That,
yeah. I
that's
mean,
that's what I think. You know what I mean?
no, for sure, for sure. But yeah, I know I interrupted you until you
No,
was
so
gonna get into
so
something.
this is a perfect segue here, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because Believe in Mets here, my guy Nick from the Believe in Mets podcast here saying
Oh man, shout out
something
to Nick.
about
Him and Ant today on that
yeah,
pregame.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
pretty good
Yeah,
stuff,
great
man.
podcast, great preview. It happened at 3:30. Make sure you go check them out. I was tuning into that as well as much as I could earlier on the day. He's basically saying something about Bader batting first or second. And just basically alluding to sort of a lineup switch. And we just went through a lineup switch. And I think that the point here is getting someone in the leadoff spot other than Francisco Lindor, because I think somewhere in the comment section, Nick here was saying that Lindor has just been absolutely brutal, which is a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. Like if you call a spade, he's not getting on base. I know he had the 2 hits yesterday in the win in the series finale against the Marlins, but he's not been getting it done. OBP's down, not even at 300, not even at 280. I believe 273 going into last night's game, so it might
Well,
be around
two
280
sixty
just
eight.
a shade over.
Yeah, 268 now after today's game.
Exactly. So not even getting on base, and I think that's where a lot of people are saying like this leadoff hitter should be the on base guy, which is a very fair assessment as well, especially when you take the highest OBP on the team. Maybe I think DJ Stewart was leading there for a second, but he gets inconsistent at bats. Brandon Nimmo is your regular starter, having the highest OBP, and transferring him down to the 3 hole, which both you and I wanted to see, right? And I think we've seen some early successes in that here early. Is that's what you trade off. So my thing here is, and I'm going to let you sound off on it as we sound off on the rest of this lineup, because I got a word to say to Brett Baty with that bases loaded strikeout that he had in this ball game. I think the Mets really have exhausted. Like this is the last lineup that you can probably trot out there to try to shake things up in a respectful manner to everybody involved on this team. And I say that because obviously as a manager, as a baseball organization, you're supposed to do what's best for the team. And a lot of people have been calling for Lindor to get dropped in the order to 6, 7, 8, whether we think that that should be the case or not, which at this point, it's a very valid argument. I'm not going to argue against it, but is it going to happen? Is it realistic from everything that we've seen for this Mets organization to pull the trigger on batting Francisco Lindor anywhere below fifth? I'm not sure they're going to do that. So we really have exhausted, in my mind, the lineup and the personnel changes in this lineup and the order of this lineup. I'm not sure if you agree, but for me, this is like your last ditch effort to try to get something going here with this lineup, with that change with Lindor, Alonso, and Nimmo, and reshaking that top three. And then obviously you're going to have changes here 6, 7, 8. But what do you think about that? Because I saw this comment and it kind of intrigued me because I have my personal opinions on Harrison Bader. He hasn't been brutal, but he also hasn't been lighting it up. I agree that he's had a little bit of a hot stretch here the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Okay, I understand that. What do you think about that, though, in terms of the actual lineup and just sort of flip flopping yet again and trying to find some spark? Because to me, there's only so many times you can change this lineup before you can just personally say this personnel in general isn't going to get it done, regardless of who you put where. You know what I mean?
No, I think you're 100% right. I think you nailed it. I think I don't even want to repeat what you said. You nailed it. This is definitely the last ditch effort at trying to make a change while showing respect. And the only thing you didn't say was mainly to Francisco Lindor. Because that's all it is. It's about Francisco Lindor's ego and his whatever and massaging him. Because everybody else has been moved around or whatever. And I don't think they will do as much as they're doing for Francisco Lindor. Because yeah, they spoke to Nimmo, but that's Mendoza spoke to Nimmo, but that's just because we're just moving you down, whatever. But that wasn't like because of your lack of production. It's actually like promotion, if anything. You know what I mean? It's actually a compliment in the way that we're moving Brandon Nimmo. And I wasn't like I said in that preview series people were listening to and Nick on the Subway Shakedown thing, and he mentioned Harrison Bader leading off, and I wanted them to try anything, man, and it's funny because I wrote it on my notes too, the little bit of notes I was able to take them in this game. That got to be fair, man. Shout out to Harrison Bader. Someone who was critical of his comments, talking about you complaining about playing time. How about you freaking produce and shut your mouth? Well, you know what, Hector, you shut your mouth because he has produced, and credit to him. Credit to him for that. And maybe that is the move that we need to make. Not that he's the greatest hitter or anything like that, but it's better than what we're getting or what we're gonna expect to get right now from Francisco Lindor, and that's crazy to say. That's insane for me to even say because obviously they're not the same type of player. They're not. Francisco Lindor is supposed to be head and shoulders above this guy when it comes to being a hitter, but right now he's not. So Harrison Bader, shit, they want to try you at leadoff. I don't give a damn. Do something. Do something. But enough of babying this guy. Enough of saying he's gonna come. No, he needs to start showing it. He needs to start showing it. And right now, you're in positions where you're hurting us. You were hurting us batting third. You were hurting us batting second. And listen, he's batted his first what 2 games, 3 games. You're not helping us there. You're not helping us. And I'll say this, guys, it doesn't matter where they put Francisco Lindor. I will guarantee you something. The game will find them. So they can hit him ninth, they can hit him eighth, seventh. It doesn't matter. The game will find them. There's still going to be plenty of opportunities there for him to come through. It's just a matter of whether he will do it or not. Because the game always finds you.
Yep. I agree with that. That's a very fair assessment, and that's how baseball works, really. It's a cruel game because, like, whether you're in the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball, as soon as you get put in that game, if you're struggling and your confidence is low, I'm not saying that Francisco Lindor's confidence is low, but
It should
all I'm
be.
saying is that the ball will find you, and that's what you're saying, pretty much. So the ball will find you.
His confidence has to
Yeah,
be low, the CP. I know. How can you say
yeah,
that he has his confidence is low? Can he be
it has to
confident
be.
right now with his
Yeah,
results? It has to
yeah.
be in his head. It has to be. I'm sorry. And listen, and maybe it's not. Maybe he doesn't care because he makes a nice little defensive play. It was a nice play. After review, you got the out. Do I have to see you bow 3 times and do all of this stuff that you're doing and pointing at the dugout and all? Like, come on, dude. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break, man.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I probably said a little bit too nicely there. His confidence definitely has to be low if you're any player that actually cares about the results on the field. Like, there's no way you can be going through this extent of a slump, and just simply say that your confidence isn't low. Like it has to be. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's a good thing because obviously you never want to see any player's confidence being low. But at this point, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion that based off of the results here in the first month and a half, almost 2 months of the season, that it's low. B Stearns here. This is what it boils down to. Every time I see this Mets lineup, whether it's Francisco Lindor, whether it's Pete Alonso, whether it's Brandon Nimmo, even everybody's guilty of this. Everybody, top to bottom, the timely hits are not there. And just so happened to be that one of the biggest situations in this game was a bases loaded, I believe 2 outs. It's still 2 outs. So this is the timely portion of this sort of comment that B Stearns is bringing it in here. Mr. Brett Baty, who coincidentally gets the start over a red hot Mark Vientos, who just got called up and is absolutely hitting the ball extremely well. And, it's something where I say it time and time again. And Hector, I know you're going to battle me on this, and you might do it here. You've done it before. I understand it, but the approach is simple. You got 2 outs. You got a guy who I understand just walked the previous batter, I believe, on 4 pitches, which was Tyrone Taylor to load up the bases. But the pitch sequence that Brett Baty got in that at bat, I've been preaching this to the choir time and time again. Let's run through it because I remember it exactly. I tweeted it out, but I remember it just like I just. If I were to just witness this 2 seconds ago, this is how much I remember it. First pitch. First pitch. He did a little bit of a mimic of a Daniel Vogelback where he puts his bat up like it's an inside pitch, but it's really right there on the inner third, ready for him to hammer. I know a lot of people don't like swinging first pitch. I understand that he just walked the previous batter on 4 pitches. I understand all that. I get it. That was the best pitch he had to hit in the entire at bat. Because guess what he did next? He got a splitter on 0-1 in the dirt that he swung at. And this is probably where a lot of people's counter arguments to swinging first pitch would be. He should have just laid off the second pitch and laid off that splitter. Okay, easier said than done. Now he's in an 0-2 hole because he watched the first pitch go by and he swung at a terrible off-speed pitch on 0-1. So now it's 0-2. Now the pitcher has everything in his arsenal working for him to utilize on Brett Baty. He can go back to the same splitter, see if Brett Baty bites on it, or he can go at a fastball outside of the zone. And guess what lefties notoriously struggle with? The fastball up, because they have the natural hitch in their swing. And guess what he struck out on? It was a foul tip right into the catcher's mitt. It was a fastball that was 1 ball out of the zone high, and it was a 3-pitch strikeout with bases loaded, 2 outs in a situation that probably evens the ball game at that point. Now, Hector, from the approach standpoint, let's just take away the result. Let's just walk through because I want to get your mindset with those 3-pitch sequence that I just told you about, because we have this conversation time and time again, and I always tell you that it's situational. But you have a pitcher on the ropes in my mind in that situation, right? You have a pitcher on the ropes. I get it. Trust me, I get it. He just walked the previous batter on 4 pitches. And if he pops out on the first pitch, everyone's going to blame it on him swinging first pitch. I understand that. But looking at the results of the at bat, my mind cannot justify you letting you can't let that pitch go by with what you got for the rest of the at bat. What do you think?
No, listen, I don't know. I think you may have misunderstood me when we had this conversation before because I'm with you. I I totally think it depends on the situation. I actually did a video a few days ago. I don't know if many people watched it or not, talking about first pitch swinging and breaking down how I feel about it and how it depends on the situation. And yes, there's a time where the guy is wild, the pitcher's wild, he's walking guys. You don't want to go up there swinging. But there also is a time where the guy is wild and he's walking guys, and now he's walked the bases loaded, however how the bases got loaded, I forget because I was a little distracted at the time. And especially if there's a mound visit by whether it be the pitching coach or the whoever, if there's a whatever, what you know for sure is this guy does not want to get behind. What you know for sure is he wants to throw that first strike. So that might be a time where you want to go up there and swing at the first pitch. But it's
Facts.
what I also say. It's about execution, right? So you go up there, you swing in the first pitch, you get a hit, you hit a grand slam, whatever the case may be. Nobody bats an eye. Everybody's fine. It's when you don't execute where everybody says, "Oh, why are you swinging at the first pitch?" Without paying attention to what the situation was. Where you know what?
Right.
It's not that he swung at the first pitch; it's that the result wasn't there. You understand? But then to compound it, right? What makes it worse is, and this is not just Brett Baty. This seems like the entire Mets team. This is the difference between a Juan Soto, which I know is like the top of the top. You know what I mean? But and you know what? I'll give you the poor man's Juan Soto, the super poor man's Juan Soto. I shouldn't even call him a poor man's Juan Soto, right? But someone like a DJ Stewart, right, who has an understanding of the strike zone, right? So he may go up there in the same situation, and he might take that first pitch, and we might be like, "Damn, that might have been the first pitch to swing at." But you know what DJ Stewart won't do, CP? He's not gonna swing at that second pitch, which is an obvious ball, and then compound the mistake of not swinging at the first one and put himself in a bigger hole now on an 0-2 count where it should be 1-1. But because
That's
Brett Baty doesn't know the
that's
strike zone, because Brett Baty stinks, he swings that pitch and now puts himself in an 0-2 hole where he now has to swing at the ball that's a little bit high, like you said, maybe a ball outside of the strike zone, and he just fouls it off. And now we have that terrible at bat. But it all comes because he doesn't know the strike zone and he's just not good enough. I'm sorry. That's the bottom line. It's the bottom line. But
yeah.
as far as
And
swinging
that
that first pitch, no, I'm totally with you. It's definitely situational. It's definitely situational.
Yeah. And that just brings me back to just the overall point that I was very upset that Vientos just simply wasn't in this lineup today,
You and I
because that would
both.
have been his situation. I always like to say hindsight is 2020, but really my sight when the lineup dropped was 2020 at that point too. And everybody's was like, where's Vientos? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
immediately.
And this brings back the point that, like, somebody in my mind has to win this job. We cannot keep platooning these guys at third base, in my humble opinion. It just can't happen. Somebody has to win the job. And right now, I understand one is better defensively than the other, and one's better offensively than the other. But right now, there's no reason not to see consistent at bats from Mark Vientos. No matter what my opinion is on Mark Vientos's status, that's going to be on this team for future years to come, right? I've said it time and time again. I don't think he's a fit for this team as a starter in next year, the year after that, etc. But you have to see what he has with consistent at bats, and this is not the way to do it. That's my take on it.
No, and what gets me is, right, I understand the whole run prevention thing and wanting to not give away runs or anything like that. Or maybe not, it's not even a run. It could be a play that just leads to a run eventually, right? Because you didn't make the play. At the same time, that approach is not working because we're not able to score runs. So I think Marvientos has shown that okay, he might give up a run, but he might get you two back with a swing. And I think right now, at least me, I'm of the mindset that why can't we see Mark Vientos get a week or two of straight playing time? The dude has come up here and has hit twice already. He's hit in big spots. You know what I'm saying? So now you're using him sporadically. He's eventually gonna cool off, and then people will say, "Oh, see, he can't hit. He got a shot. He didn't do anything with it." Really? Did he really get a shot? Let me see him play against lefty or righty, because right now Brett Baty's not hitting lefty or righty. He ain't hitting either one of them. So why the hell I got a
Right.
platoon with this guy? Let me show you that I can't hit righties, which I don't think is the case, because if I've seen him hit plenty of right-handers. And he'll probably get a start in these next three games. He'll probably get a start because they're not going to sit him 4 days in a row. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the hell it works out to. Or maybe they will because they seem to not care what the hell happens with him. But why can't I get 15, 20 at bats straight from Berbati? And that's only like from Mark Vincent. And not even because that's only like 4 or 5 games. Give me 2 weeks straight. Let me see what he got. And let me see how this team performs with him starting at third base every day.
Would you be shocked, Hector? Would you be shocked if I told you that last year in the sample size, whatever sample size Mark Vientos got, however many at bats, plate appearances, what have you, he got
Sorry,
in
guys.
2023? What was
No,
that?
no, go ahead, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said, would you be shocked if I told you that Mark Vientos' OPS versus right-handed pitchers was actually a shade higher than his OPS versus left-handed pitchers, meaning that he is the classic example of why I always say playing matchups is stupid in modern day baseball, because you have guys like Mark Vientos that have proven that they can hit both lefties and righties when you give them the consistent at bats. Would you be shocked if I said that? Because that's a fact. I said that this offseason. That was the fact in 2023 with this limited sample size. So I
No,
don't understand it, man. I don't understand it.
I'm not shocked at all because I kept saying the last season, why is he not getting at bats versus right-handers when his numbers against right-handers are actually better than against left-handers? You know what I'm saying? And then again, we've seen him in late game situations hit big hits, big home runs against right-handed pitching. So no, I'm not shocked. I don't understand. This is why I keep thinking they just don't like this dude. They just don't like him. And maybe they see that his defense is that bad that they don't even want to try. But come on, man. Like I no, I would not be shocked, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Couple of comments here that I want to get to here. First of all, if you're in the chat, we got 107 people watching this right now across X and
Thank you.
YouTube. If you're on X, come over to the YouTube. We do regular content. Myself and Hector on the Roundtable podcast, myself and Rob, we do pregame shows, postgame shows, in-game live streams, all that good stuff, and that's not going to stop even though this team is 21 and 26. So hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. If you're here on YouTube, you don't even have to deviate away from the stream. As you're watching, bottom right-hand corner, you'll see an orange icon. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Second of all, want to shout out Amir here saying good show and keep it up. Salute to you, Amir. Appreciate you being here. And third of
Thank
all,
you.
I need to address this from MEZ. This is the common misconception. Just because I said that Mark Vientos, I don't see him being a part of this team situationally and as a positional fit in 2025 and beyond, and that's why he might not be on this roster no matter how much he hits, that does not mean that I was quote unquote, in your words, shitting on him. If I remember in that Marlins series, MEZ, what I was doing was saying that he had the best approach of anybody on this team, including at that point Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and anybody else that stepped up to the plate for this New York Mets team. I said I loved his aggression on 1-0 pitches, 0-0 pitches, first pitch hitting, second pitch hitting. That's what I said. So there's a select and distinct difference between the two. You can roll back the tape because we've had this conversation on Mark Vientos plenty of times on this channel. So I'm going to check you right there. I'm going to check you right
Easy on
there.
my
But
guy,
also,
easy man. Easy on my
bro,
guy. Nah, nah,
MEZ's
you
always
good.
on me, and MEZ's always on me, and I appreciate it. He's like he's keeping me humble and he's keeping me on my toes. I appreciate it, and that's why I have to rebuke that because I definitely differentiated. There's a fine line right here in the middle, a little crooked, right here in the middle of me thinking if Mark Vientos is going to be on this team for the future and my reasons for that versus what he's doing right now, which is absolutely hitting the cover off the ball. And you can deny all you want, MEZ. You can deny it. That's why you're saying, yeah, okay, because you got nothing to prove against it. You can roll back the tape. Go watch the previous streams. You know exactly what I said, as do I, which is why I'm telling you what I said. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Hector, what you got on this lineup here that we saw from today? Any other X's and O's of this game that you want to get off your chest? Because this was absolutely brutal. Just watching another lifeless offense. I don't even know what else to say. I don't know. I have no idea.
No, man. Just looking at this thing, looking at the box score, it's just pathetic. It's nothing but zeros. I mean, I guess shout out to Pete with another two nice hits today, opposite field. Um, so that I'm just gonna try to put out some positive, but man, to help with this lineup. Shout out to all you guys that are watching. Shout out to my guy Emil who follows me everywhere. I appreciate you. Unfortunately, I couldn't stream it today on X or anything like that. But like CP says, man, subscribe to his channel. Eventually, I might do my own. Um, If you hear from me, if you already know about my ex stuff and all that. But yeah, man, I appreciate every single one of you guys. And thanks for being here with us. But like I don't even know what to say about this lineup anymore. I don't know what to say anymore. If it's been switched around, we got excited with the switch. And again, correct me, it's been 2 games or 3 games. I forget. I forget. With the whole Lindor and Nimmo switch, is that gonna
Yeah.
work? Is it not gonna work? I don't know. I don't know. It. Listen, on the round table last night, if you were there, you saw we went through the numbers, and I talked about how it stood out to me so much how Lindor's numbers in wins and losses, and you can see the impact that when he does well, it has on winning. So it's not to pick on Lindor, it's not to hate on Lindor. See, because some of what he's giving you with Vientos, we all deal with it, right? When you're critical of a player, people think you're hating on them. You don't like the player. You don't like this. No, we're just saying what we see, what's going on. Our opinion. Not that we're right. It's just our opinion, and it may agree with a lot of people. It may differ from a lot of people. Francisco Lindor is a big part of this team, and if he struggles the way he does, we see how the team struggles. So the most important part for this lineup is for him to figure it out, no matter where the hell he's hitting. Because, like I said, the game is gonna follow you. The game is gonna follow you. Um,
Yeah.
Other than
Absolutely.
that, uh, just consistency, man. We need all of these guys to be consistent. Listen, I'm tired of the Mets making other pitchers, other starting pitchers, just pitching staffs look good. I know we're facing a good Cleveland team. Excuse me. In our chat, Rob asked, hypothetically or theoretically, whatever, his coach, and he said, "How can this Guardians team be playing so well when they have so many guys?" I forget the number that he said, hitting under 220 or whatever the number was.
Sure.
Um, and I said pitching, right? And then you hear Gary talk about it and throw out the numbers and the way that their bullpen performs once they get a lead. You know what I'm saying? So you understand all of that. But honestly, the Mets make every pitching staff look good. Anytime you say, "Oh, why we can't?" Oh, well, Hector, they're facing this guy. You don't know who this guy is. This guy's this. This guy. They all look good against the Mets. They all look good against the Mets. So listen, I always say it. Game's over, you vent, whatever, therapy session, whatever it is, and the next day you go and you hope and you root and you think that's gonna be the turnaround. I'm gonna be honest, guys. It's hard. It's getting harder and harder and harder and harder and harder for me to take that mindset. It's getting harder and harder and harder for me to get motivated to go there and watch the next day. When that happens to someone like me, not that I'm the best fan, that's bad. That's bad because I never want to give up. As critical as I am of the team or whatever, as upset as I may get, until that magic number hits zero, I always think there's a chance. And the fact that I feel like that before Memorial Day this year, it's terrible. It's terrible. The fact that I'm almost at the point where it's like, you know what? I don't care. Just get me to the deadline so we can get rid of these guys. It's horrible. But another thing, and shout out to Nick because he was talking about this before. Again, in the preview show. Um, and not just him, because people say this, but it's something that to me is like, okay, we talk about trade value, right? And they were talking about McNeil and trading McNeil and this. And Nick says, how can you trade McNeil right now? He has no value. And the same goes for a lot of these guys, right? But my thing is this: if he had any value, we wouldn't be talking about trading him. If
Facts.
these
That's
guys were
true.
playing up to the level where they had good trade value, you don't want to trade them unless not saying that nobody gets traded at their highest, because sometimes you got to give up something to get something, right? So you may do it, but for the most part, if these guys were playing well, and listen, Maybe there's anybody you can make an argument for that could be traded anyways if he was playing the way that they should be playing, would be McNeil because of what you have in the farm and the potential that has to come up. But when we talk about value, well, I honestly I think we're gonna have to take a hit with some of these guys. Or guess what? We'll be talking about them again next year.
Yeah. No, it's a valid assessment. That's a valid assessment. And I agree with you. Like, if it was just as simple of trading these guys away and finding trade partners, like, it's not like I don't think plenty of teams are calling up for Jeff McNeil. Like if it happens, it happens because maybe they can turn it around and he'll turn it around in a different uniform. But it's definitely going to be sort of like a haggle for the Mets to sort of go and pawn him off to a team that actually wants him, right? So I agree with you. It's not as simple as that. But I wanted to actually bring up a comment here, and this actually goes perfect into what we've been saying about Eric Chavez, and it was from John from Albany. Shout out to him as well. Um, John saying that the Mets don't like Mark Vientos' K rate. He led the Mets this spring in homers, RBIs, hits, and K rate. This is something that Mark Vientos we've known about for so long. And the reason for this is because it goes against Eric Chavez's don't strike out, be a high contact team sort of philosophy. Now, I'm not saying contact is bad. All I'm saying is that quality of contact matters. And shout out to Carson from Mets Weekly, etc., talking about rolling over ground balls, etc. Like, yeah, putting contact on the ball is important. How are you going to get runs if you don't? But the quality of that contact matters. And that's something that I don't feel like the Mets under Eric Chavez have been prioritizing. Right now, if you were to ask me, am I accepting of Mark Vientos' K rate in order to get more sort of production based off of the doubles that he provides, the home runs that he can provide? My answer is yes. Let him strike out twice in a game as long as he puts a ball over the fence or maybe even a double to drive in a run or two in that same ball game, which he did actually in Philadelphia. He did it in Miami as well. I'm going to take that switch all day long. So it doesn't surprise me that the Mets don't like Mark Vientos in terms of the bat because of the K rate, because that goes against their overall philosophy. But you know what? That philosophy hasn't been working. Outside of 2022, that philosophy hasn't been working, Hector. And after you get your thought off on what I just said, we'll go into the last slide here because we do have two more games remaining in the series. Then we'll wrap up. We're about an hour in post game right now. But yeah, that's what I got to say about that. And that was actually a very good point by John, and that just sort of spurred that thought that I just put out there. Because listen, I don't know what else to say. It's right in front of our faces at this.
No, I'm totally with you. I'll put up with his K rate, whatever the hell it is. Everybody else on this team is striking out. So I'm going to worry about Mark Vientos striking out when, again, like I said before, he may give up a run on defense, but he might get you two on offense. Well, he might strike out, like you said, two times, but he might hit you a double or a home run. Or dare I say maybe even two, or maybe a double and a home run to get you a couple of runs. So take that freaking K rate and shove it. Shove it. If that's what the hell they doing. Shove that damn K rate. I don't want to hear it. I want him in the freaking lineup. Simple as that. Everybody else on this freaking team is Kane and ain't doing nothing else. But we gotta penalize him for his man. Listen, man.
Yeah, I agree with
Unbelievable.
you. I hear the frustration in your voice, bro. I hear it. I hear it. It's all of us right now. It's me
CP,
too. It's
it's
everybody in the
not
chat.
Memorial Day, bro. It's not Memorial
Yeah.
Day. And like I said last night on the round table, and you said earlier, you're gonna be here doing your stuff, right? Creating your
Yep.
content, right? I'm a wannabe or whatever the hell you want to call me, an official content creator. So I'm still gonna be here talking about this team. On top of the fact that I freaking love the New York Mets, I love baseball. I sit at home all winter, not sit at home, but I go through the whole winter waiting for baseball season. As much as I love football, I enjoy football. I love the Giants. I love the Knicks. I enjoy the hell out of the run the Knicks went on. But baseball is what drives me. It drives me. And every year I go and I wait and I snow. Well, we don't even get snow no more. The freaking cold, the darkness at 4 o'clock. Looking forward to this. And before it even starts, it's over. More years than that, I'm freaking going crazy, bro. The next step is to just give up and stop watching freaking baseball. Just go to the park and watch Little League, and you might get a better quality game. It's disgusting. I can't take it no more, man. I can't take it.
I hear you. I hear you. It's valid. It's valid. But guess what? We still got two more
We'll be
games to
back
play of this
tomorrow.
series, man. We still got two more games of this series to play. We still got two more games this series. Listen, we got some brutal news, not brutal news, but a little bit of a setback for Kodai Senga. He was supposed to throw a bullpen session. I'm not sure if you heard about this.
Oh
Felt some
God.
triceps tightness, quote unquote, from what they say. We know he's been dealing with that shoulder sort of strain, that capsule strain that we saw. I believe Corbin Burns had no, not Corbin Burns. It was Brandon Woodruff had the capsule injury to his shoulder, kind of derailed him a little bit as well. Kodai Senga is dealing with that strain. Obviously, the timeline was set for him to start throwing right now. Didn't happen. He's feeling some residual effects. Like, I don't want to say it's residual effects from the shoulder, but you got to be skeptical right now in terms of what the timetable actually is for Kodai Senga. And now you see here in game two, you have Mr. Adrian Hauser, who we're all talking about. Oh, he's going to the bullpen. We're going to see him out of the bullpen. We saw him a couple times out of the bullpen before he's right back here in the starting rotation going against Mr. Former Met, which should be an absolute interesting game. I can't wait to watch this game tomorrow because if there's not combined 20 runs scored in this game, then something went wrong. I don't know what went wrong, but something went wrong. So we have the classic matchup, Adrian Hauser versus Carlos Carrasco in game two. And then to close out the series, we got Jose Quintana versus Tristan McKenzie. Final words on the rest of the series or just about this team in general before we wrap up here in the next couple of minutes. And then we'll go about it that way. We have obviously more scheduled content coming up this week for the New York Mets. Hopefully, Rob will be back joining us, whether it's on the roundtable or pregame streams, postgame streams, whatever. At this point, we do whatever. We throw up a stream, we talk about it whenever we feel like it. There's no schedule with this. There's only vent sessions here that we're here talking about this team for you all in the chat, and we appreciate you all showing out. So, what do you think about this? What do you think about Kodai Senga? And let's just wrap it up here in the next couple minutes.
Yeah, I kind of got to get out of here myself too. Do you really want to hear what I think about Kodai Senga? Because I'll be honest with you, brother. As soon as I saw that today, and I felt like this for a while, the comments before the little setback, and then oh no, he's gonna pitch. You know when he said he wasn't feeling it, the mechanics had to be in. Dude, is the Asian Jacob Degrom? This is what I'm hearing right now. And correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he come already with an arm issue that there was some language inserted into his contract because of it? So
I believe so.
that's
Yeah.
that's already something that not to make you feel good about it. Everything you're hearing, I don't feel good about, and I feel the same way I felt with the ground when it started happening. I said, you know what, this dude's gonna have surgery. Oh, how do you know? What do you? I just it was just a feeling that I had from what I was hearing, and then especially when they said he had the strain, which he tried to deny, and obviously I think that was the truth. So that's how I feel about Kodai Senga. I don't think we'll see him again this year. Um, if he doesn't decide to have surgery and prolong it, I think we'll go through the same thing that DeGrom went through. He'll come back next year. He'll throw a little bit in spring training. He may even start a game, but eventually shut him down. As far as the rest of the series, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. But what I do think is gonna happen, what I feel very strongly about, again, just my gut, that big gut that I have, today covered by. Imagine we had this shortstop still. I'll take him over what we have now. But anyways, I totally expect Carrasco tomorrow to shut us down. 7 innings, 1 run ball, while Adrian Hauser will come back and give us 5 innings of maybe 3 runs, and somebody will say that's progress. That's what I expect for the rest of the series. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, no, that's where I'm at. The third game, I don't even know who's pitching the third game. Who cares? Who cares at this point? Just do whatever you're gonna do tomorrow, and then we'll worry about the next day after that. But yeah, that's what I expect tomorrow. I expect Carrasco to have the game of his life, the game he never had for us. come out here,
This
shut
is
us down.
This is
Can't,
the first time that I've actually seen Hector close to being speechless, like a loss of words. So this is a rare occurrence. So I think it's better that we just cap off this stream right where it's at right now. So yeah, that is the rest of the series outlook. The New York Mets are now 21-26 on the season after dropping the ball game here 3-1 in the opening series or the opening game of this series. Obviously here, Tyler Megill takes the L. Offense didn't show up. We have a hell of a pitching matchup tomorrow for all the reasons of that you wouldn't think that would be a pitching matchup, a great pitching matchup. It's a great pitching matchup because we're wondering what the offenses are going to do on either side. That's why it's a good pitching matchup. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Undecided whether we're going to do a post game or a pre-game tomorrow. So make sure you tap that notifications button. Hector, thank you so much as well for you joining in on this stream on the last second. Make sure you follow Hector on X at HHEC13 over on X, all that good stuff. And like I said, hit that like button. If you're in here, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new here. We're going to be talking about this team through the good and the bad. So you better get used to it. And if you like consistent Mets talk, we will be here, whether it's myself and Hector, myself and Rob, myself and whoever else wants to be daring enough to come up on here and talk Mets baseball with me. We will be doing it. So like I said, this is the Simply Mason Mets post-game show. Another loss in the books here. All you can just hope for, and this is really the only word and the emphasis on the word hope, is you can hope that the offense turns it around and puts some production up at the plate tomorrow in the game against former Met Carlos Carrasco. All right, guys, it's been your boy CP. Like I said, we're out of here. Let's go Mets, and we'll see you the next time. Peace.